Hi, I'm Lauren Edmunds. I'm the founder and owner of a school that supports children with learning delays. I'm hoping this space gives you something to think about. I want to talk to you about bullying today. And I know I've spoken about it in the past, but I really think it needs to be talked about a lot, spoken about a lot. And I want to talk to you, I'm going to give you some stories and some ideas and some ways to think about it. First of all, I want to say that much of the behavior we experience in the world today actually isn't bullying. And much of the behavior your child experiences at school isn't actually bullying. It's probably just dysregulated behavior or mean children or teachers not containing the class, but it's not bullying. And I think that it's important to know what bullying is and what it isn't. But in some ways it isn't important because the definition doesn't make it better. So what I want to tell you today is that if your child feels like they're being targeted by somebody, believe them and empower them. I want to tell you a story. I've got twin girls. We were at a beach holiday. My husband and I were sitting at one spot and they were a bit further away from us down the beach. And it was a winter holiday, so there was not many people with us. And this huge, big black Labrador looked like a smile on his face, and he was bounding with joy, came bounding up the beach. And he got to my one daughter first. And she stood up. I think she must have been 5 years old. She stood up, put her hand out towards the dog, looked him straight in the face and said, "No." And the dog stopped in its tracks, looked at her and went straight past her. And the dog respected her boundaries. My other daughter wasn't paying attention. She was looking not to her fault. She was just looking the other way. And the dog bounded right into her and knocked her over. She didn't even have a chance to say no. And I love that story because it shows that when we have a chance to stand up and say no, are we empowered enough to do it? And can we expect the person bounding at us to listen to our no? And how do we say it so that that person, or that dog in this story, listens to the no? And in my story, my daughter stood up, not very tall, but she squared her shoulders out. She put her left foot forward. She pushed her hand towards the dog. She didn't touch the dog at all. She just pushed her palm out and said no with meaning behind it. She meant it. And you could hear in her voice she meant it. She was saying, "Stop. No, you're not going to jump over me. Go past me. Enough now." And all she needed to say was the word no. Then the dog got to my other daughter, who didn't see it coming and didn't have an opportunity to say no. So we need to help our children to have opportunities to say no and then teach them how to say no. I've spoken about this before and I'm going to say it again. There's a formula to this. And I absolutely love this formula because I learned it myself a couple of years back. I used the formula in exactly the order, the 1, 2, 3 order I'm going to give it to you, over and over and over again until I got to the point where in myself, my no was said in such a way that people heard it. Not mean, not aggressive, just I said no. And I could say it kindly and with a smile and walk away. And they listened. So the formula is this, and it is worth learning it yourself and practicing it yourself week after week, time after time, until you get a sense of it and remembering that formula so you can teach it to your kids. And the formula is this. First, repeat what the other person is saying so that they feel heard. If you don't do that, they often just come up with, "Yeah, but it would be nice," and they make all these excuses. So if somebody says, "Do you want to join us for a hike on Saturday?" and you don't really want to go, you can say, "Hike on Saturday?" You give a little pause. Step number 2 is you say no. You can either say no, or you can say, "No, thanks," or "No, I don't think I want to go." Whatever the phrase is, whatever the tone of voice you want to use, say that second part, which is your no. And then if they still don't look like they're hearing your no, you add the third part, which is maybe the next time. I'd be interested in you inviting me again in the future. Now, my first response when I heard that 3-step was, "Yeah, but I don't know if I want to ever do it in the future." And the answer I got from the person teaching me, who was a clinical psychologist, said, "Yeah, but you can just say no again." So if you find it really difficult to say no, use those 3 steps because it kind of gets you off the hook and gets the person off your back. And what happens is when you use it the first time, you notice that the person goes, oh, okay. And then you feel like your no was heard. So you're more likely to try it again. You say no again to see, is this a fluke or can I say no again? And you start trying this and you start realizing that you have the power to say no. Not in a mean way, not to reject the other person, but because you don't want to. and you don't want to become a people pleaser, and you don't want to be a person that does things they don't want to do. You want to be able to say no. And I've said this for a while now, since I've been practicing this skill, and I've got to the point where I can actually just say, no, thanks. And I don't feel guilty, and I don't feel like I have to make excuses. I can just say, no, thanks, not for me. And I move on. And one of my adult friends said, I taught him how to say no, which was so wonderful. And I say this, I can say no because I can say yes, or I can say yes because I can say no. So the things I say yes to are the things I really want to do. And sometimes I say yes to things because I want to do it for the other person, even though I don't feel like doing it. Sometimes I say yes to things because I really want to do them. Sometimes I say yes because I'm not too sure, but it sounds exciting and I'm going to give it a try. Sometimes I say no because I'm just not in the mood. Don't really have the time. I can't get my head there. I don't want to spend time with this person. I don't want to do that activity. And I stop judging it. I stop judging myself. Now imagine if your child had that ability to say no. That's kind of the start of bully-proofing your child. Their ability to stand up to the Labrador and say no. Okay, what happens after that is something that's going to unfold, and there will be other skills they can develop. So how to regulate somebody else when they're dysregulated and coming at you. How to pivot that person into something else. There's a whole lot of other skills. But the first one is not actually the ability to say no to somebody else. It's the ability for the word no to come out of your mouth and for you to expect the other person to listen, even if they don't. Because when they don't listen, it's an opportunity to reflect. And your child would come home to you and say, oh, I tried it. I said no. But they kept forcing me. They kept wanting me to play tag, and then they were teasing me. And then you can say, oh, that must have been hard for you. But I'm so glad you said no. Tell me more about how that went. Maybe we can talk through a different way to do it next time. Or maybe we can talk about what's going on for that person and for you. And you can explore your child's emotions and empower them further. But one of the best tools to help your child to handle being bullied or having somebody being mean to them or being asked to do something they don't want to do is teaching them how to say no. And the 3 steps really work.